Okay, we're kicking off. All right, we got here Jon Mosales, we got Brian Shade. This is, I guess, our second inaugural 16-team, 1 QB PPR draft. So I guess last year was Super League, this year we're 1 QB, but the mocks are over. We finally had to put our money where our mouths are, and we got an official draft on the books. Brian, you want to just say hello while I get this camera sorted?
Yeah. Yeah, 16 teams. Obviously, it's a bit deeper than your kind of standard 12-team leagues. It was kind of a lot. It was all of us were SportEthos, so it was interesting to see kind of everyone putting, not to say money where their mouth is, but everyone says they have people they love, and then let's see if they actually draft them. So yeah, in this draft, I ended up with the first pick. So I did what I think is obvious and got McCaffrey to start out. And it was interesting to see the running backs. Obviously went top three, the running backs you'd expect, McCaffrey, Hall, and Robinson. And then it kind of started the wide receiver run. Is that something you were expecting? I kind of expected like CD or Tyreek to go before two of the running backs, but where's your mind on that?
Yeah, it's tough because, it's been the summer wide receivers, right? It just seems everyone's talking them up, a little less volatile. My CD made a little sense because of the contract situation. Same with Chase, right? Jefferson, QB. But Bijan Brees, it's hard to turn that down when there are a lot of wide receivers, especially in the second, third round. Didn't shock me. A little surprising though. I've seen drafts where even McCaffrey's not going first overall. So really that kind of top five can kind of go anywhere. It's funny you said not putting your money where your mouth is. Is that because you're like the adamant don't take a QB early, and then you took the first QB in the draft?
No, but that was I don't take QBs early in two quarterback leagues. I generally
Where it
take
makes a lot of
them
sense.
in a 16 team when you're like, my mindset was I'm at one of the ends. So if I don't get one at the 2-3 turn, a good one, like it's either, in my opinion, you get Hurts, Jackson, Allen, or I just don't get one till later. And I just felt not to say I didn't know what else to do, but a few people went before me that I wanted. Like, I think I wanted Jalen Waddle. He went 31. I had picked 32, 33. That's kind of the turn for the 2-3. So I am an Eagles fan, but I just saw the stack of Devonta Smith, Jalen Hurts. I kind of just went for it. I think it's safe enough in a 16-team league where you get enough of a floor with some upside. I know Devonta Smith is going to get a 20% target share. I know Jalen Hurts is going to run. He'll end as a top 5 quarterback as long as he's healthy. It just seemed to pair with McCaffrey, Devonta, Jalen Hurts. I was pretty satisfied and didn't mind. I probably reached for both Smith and Hurts at the time, but the way it worked out in a 16-team league, you kind of have to get your guys if you're at an edge, which you were at the other end of the draft. So I feel like you probably can agree with me on that, where if it's such a deep league and you're at one of the ends, you just sometimes you have to reach to get your guys.
Sure. Anthony, I'm gonna let you in 2 seconds. But yeah, it's kind of the curse of McCaffrey too. It's like when you have that first overall pick, you don't really know what to do. Do I chase ceiling? Do I go floor? Like, am I set? So I think you kind of just like dinner set. So I'm just gonna get the desserts I want.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. We're gonna let Anthony in here at the stage. All right. What up, Anthony? Oh, I don't like this view.
How's it going, guys? Happy to be here.
What's up, man? We just started talking about the draft, mostly making fun of Brian's team because he got the A+ report card, so we can't let it get to his head too much.
Yahoo said I was one,
So, Anthony, are you Anthony's amazing athletes?
No, I changed it to my Twitter handle, AQ Fresh. I was the 6th pick. I ended up with CD Lamb, which now that the contract is settled is looking like quite the value at 106.
Yeah. I'm writing about the draft, and yeah, I just said that. You probably got him at a little discount there, right? I've seen drafts where he's going first overall, right?
I debated. I was first overall. I debated him because it is, with it being 16 team and we're doing 3 wide receivers are more valuable. my mindset was between CD and McCaffrey was just, I don't know the running backs. If I can kind of get a stud running back and just not have to worry about much later on or whoever falls to me. So I just went McCaffrey. But I mean, I was a bit jealous of that landing at 6 for you. He's my number 2. So I definitely like that pick.
Okay, before we get into that, so anyone listening, make sure we got a week till kickoff. So check out the SportEthos, the Fantasy Football Draft Guide. We've all been working on it all summer. Anthony's been writing tons of great articles. Brian's been doing his projection model. We're going to see if that holds water sooner rather than later. I bet he's a little nervous about that, but he crunched the numbers, and numbers don't lie, right? But Anthony, you're the big St. Brown guy too, right? So
I am. I was prepared to take Amon-Ra over CeeDee Lamb should I have had the opportunity. I was prepared to do it. The contract situation a couple of days ago at the time of the draft was enough to push Amon-Ra ahead of him from me, but it all worked out. Happy about the way it turned out.
Okay, so let's go. I'm writing about this draft, but surprises in the first round.
I'm a little surprised to see Kyron go at 12. I think that was a little surprising, but otherwise, probably a pretty standard first round.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Kyron is that the way that offense runs. I feel like he's always just loved like a stud running back, and obviously they drafted Corum, so who knows? But I mean, maybe this is like last year when they Seahawks drafted Charbonnet. Everyone thought he was going to take over some stuff, and Ken Walker was still the guy in that backfield, unless injuries. I definitely wouldn't have taken him over Saquon, but I don't hate it as I at least know for the first few weeks I'm going to get some production. And that team in general, I think it seemed like they went pretty safe. Like they did Kyron, they went Rachaad White, who just gets volume, and then Sam Laporta second round.
Yeah, love me some Laporta. So let's talk about. So I'm writing about this, and I keep mentioning like the league size, right? I just think that's such a huge component, right? 16 team, let's say, versus standard 12 team. Like, what was for Anthony for you? What's the main difference drafting 16 versus 12 for you? Your mindset?
I just want to try to get as many studs as I can at whatever the positions may be. Well, I mean, obviously I can, but more so in like 12 and 10 team leagues, you're looking to stack your running back and receiver depth. But when I say just studs at any position, I'm more than willing to be the first guy to take the tight end or the quarterback in these types of leagues, just because I think having that positional advantage at a onesie position, especially in such a large league, is just such a huge advantage sometimes.
Yeah, that seems to be kind of the theme of the summer, the onesies, right? I think, right, Brian, we were talking before where you like to just get one elite onesie and punt the other. But in 16 team, are you switching up your strategy a bit?
No, I that's what I ended up doing because I went with the Eagles stack, obviously, second or 2-3 turn.
So you punted on quarterback?
No, I punted on tight end. But because, I got my quarterback early, so I just wanted to punt tight end. No matter what people think of Hurts as a QB, a fantasy QB, he's good at it. Similar to kind of what Anthony Richardson's going through, the up and down on that is he a good QB? It doesn't really matter. He'll run for 600 yards and probably 8 touchdowns. So like that'll kind of carry you. But I think also being at again, I was at the end of one of them, so I just had to reach more. If I had somebody who I liked, I liked the idea of Nick Chubb, even though I got him in the 7th round, I definitely reached for that, but I didn't know if he was going to last. And in a league with 2 IR spots, I'm much more willing to kind of take that risk. So, and reaching on some of the rookie wide receivers, which I feel like you see a lot of runs when you're doing a 16 team. It's like, all right, I saw a few quarterbacks go off. I need to get a quarterback before they're all dry. And I think that's kind of a pattern that we saw in this draft, especially with the onesie positions, is if you start seeing a few come off the board, it seems like everyone kind of scrambles to get one.
Yeah, of course. But like, so 12-team league QB, right? There's almost no point in, you don't want to get that Dak, Love, Stroud, that middle tier, right? Because you can always just get Goff, Stafford at the end, right? But 16-team, right? Now you're looking at maybe like, who's the worst quarterback that somebody took, right? Like, is somebody dealing with Derek Carr?
I hope not.
I think Lawrence is
Maybe as a QB too, but hopefully not a starting quarterback.
Like, we got, I'm looking here. We've got Bo Nix, and Herbert. No. But yeah, and so 16-team versus 12 seemed like the biggest thing for me. Like, you got Anthony. Do you go ceiling versus floor, right? Because I think teams are going to thin out a little bit more. So, you don't need to have a super team. You just need to be not the worst.
Yeah, I think it's. I think that having a balance is probably the best way to go about it. This way, if your ceiling players don't hit, you have some floor guys that are gonna prop you up each week. In bigger leagues, in my opinion, it's more so about just maintaining points. Let everybody else take the high variable players, and if I can score, a couple points above league average every week, then I'm good with that in a 16-team league.
Okay, cool. Brian, I wanted to come back to something you said about Chubb. So you took Chubb, and now he's going to be on the IR for 4 games. Does that make you like more excited or less excited about it, especially with the IR spots?
I mean, I took Chubb and Hawkinson, so I have 2 IR guys. I don't mind it as much when I have the 2 IR slots because technically my roster is now bigger than everyone else's because I'm utilizing all of it. Like, we just had waivers run. I picked up Colby Parkinson, who will, because Higbee's out, he's a starting tight end on Rams. He'll get a target share. He's not great, but in a 16-teamer,
League swinger, Colby Parkinson. Yeah,
I can,
for sure. But
you can pick someone up off the bench.
Your strategy is a lot more viable in a 12-team, right? That's where you want that. Like in a 2 IR stash, it's like you almost have to get Chubb and Hawkinson because the guys on the wire are going to be legit game swingers, right?
Yeah, and again, I have confidence at least to start. Or I don't know about McCaffrey, but like Hurts is healthy, Smith is healthy. Hopefully McCaffrey's healthy, so I can kind of win early on. I don't need somebody on my team. Like, I don't need to pick someone up real quick to be a starter right away. I think with James Conner, also safer picks. Terry McLaurin, like my top 6 picks, as long as McCaffrey's healthy, were very safe. So now I can take some swings with Chubb. Maybe he's healthy.
Top 5 are safe.
Yeah.
Can't call
top 5. Yeah, sorry. Like maybe Chubb's healthy. Maybe Hawkinson gets healthy and performs. But again, if I'm punting on the tight end position, is Colby Parkinson that much worse off than, I don't know, like a Cole Kmet or somebody? Like, sure. Not really. So I might it's a full punt, and then I just hope Hawkinson comes in.
Yeah, I love that. No, I love the Hawk stash. Yeah, actually, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, you just want to limp through tight end until Hawk comes back, right? I thought he's going to be in the IR too, but you should be able to survive as long as McCaffrey's not actually hurt. One thing that I'm going to pivot back to you, Anthony. So the rookie wide receiver run, right? They're kind of in vogue now, but after what Puka did, it's more like you don't even go for the top wide receivers, right? Like the Marvin Harrison Jr., who might be overpriced. Neighbors got no QB. Ajunze, crowded wide receiver room. It's like, why don't we just take one of these later guys, and if he's Puka Nacua, I win the league, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of them are going to be Puka again. I don't even think Marvin's going to be Puka, but I could be proved wrong. It's just a shotgun approach at this point. Like, I got Keon Coleman and Adonai Mitchell. Most likely, neither one of them is going to be great, but maybe one hits. And again, I went safety, so I'm willing to kind of take that upside. I just think you can't be the team that gets all of them, because I know everyone loves the hype. Oh, Malik Neighbors is going to be great. Oh, Marvin Harrison's going to be great. But odds are they don't all hit. So if you go kind of full in, I don't like that strategy, but kind of what Anthony said earlier is just get a balance, get your high upside, get your high floor, and just combine them.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think I want to talk about your team in a second, but rate your rookie wide receivers based on like draft capital. Because obviously Marvin Harrison Jr. is probably the best, but maybe not at first round value.
You talking about me?
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh no, it's all right. I mean Marvin Harrison Jr. is number one. As far as wide receivers go for the
But I mean, for
rookies.
like draft capital, would you take Marvin Harrison Jr. first, or would you rather have I can never remember his name. The Jaguars. Is it Brian Williams? Brian Thomas.
Brian Thomas. I would probably take Marvin Harrison. I like Marvin Harrison better if you get him at the 1-2 turn though, so you can pair him with another wide receiver. But even at cost, Marvin Harrison is my number one rookie to take as far as the receivers go.
Cool. Can't argue with that. I did videos all summer talking about him. He's my guy, and now his value is so crazy. I think I might maybe like him more in auction, and then so if you get Marvin Harrison, do you need the Kyler stack?
I'm a big fan of stacks, so I'm aiming for it. I'm not going to force it because, especially in one quarterback leagues, you can get one a little bit later and still get a good stack. But I'm definitely keeping an eye on Kyler if I picked Marvin Harrison Jr.
Okay, so I missed with the Saturday when you guys went over the team. So let's go look over your team quickly, Anthony. So we go Lamb 6, great value, right? Then you go Debo at 27. Just another, kind of you used to be the sexy guy, and now he's kind of unsexy. And if you get the Ayuk trade, right, that's going to look great.
Yep.
And then
I took a few things into consideration with that pick. That was a tough pick. I really wanted Achan, but
Jacob took him,
yeah, he took him. So I went with the upside of Debo.
And then Pittman at 38. What does that make him, like the wide receiver, like 15 off the board? And I know you have him top 10, right?
I have him inside the top 10. I don't know exactly where he went receiver wise, but I was determined to start 3 wide receivers in such a big league. Seeing that we were starting 3 receivers, I was determined to do that. And I mean, in my mind, I have 3 top 15 guys. So and 2 of them in the top 10. So I'm quite happy about that start.
And then looks Ramondre. I mean, one of my rules with running backs is I don't want him on a bad team, and I don't want him with a bad O-line, and I certainly don't want him with a bad QB, right? Ramondre is looking at all 3.
Yeah, I just think Ramondre's so safe with his volume. He can catch passes, and I think with a rookie quarterback, that's going to be so important just for check downs, just a little security blanket. They don't have a great tight end, though I do like Hunter Henry. Oftentimes you say, the tight end is a rookie quarterback or a backup quarterback's best friend, right? It's a security blanket. I think Ramondre can provide that in the passing game as well. To go with his RB1 status there, I just like it as a safe pick.
And then obviously you go Dak stack. That's just a no-brainer, right?
Yeah, as soon as I landed CD at 6, I knew I was taking Dak. I was prepared to reach for him if I needed to, but I think I got him kind of right about where you'd expect him to go.
Yeah, right after Stroud, right? Stroud, Dak had the season everyone thinks Stroud's going to have this year, right?
Sure.
Then Pollard run a Cowboy fever, and he's on Tennessee. Nice safe pick. Jordan Addison, right? A couple kind of safe picks. And then now we're going upside, right? Rookie running back Blake Corum, Charbonnet, Michael Wilson. That's a great pick. Was Zay Jones suspended? What was your favorite pick in the draft? Least favorite pick?
For my team?
Yeah.
My favorite pick, I won't continue to harp on Michael Pittman every chance I get. My favorite pick was probably Michael Wilson, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah.
Even before the Zay Jones suspension, I thought he was going really underrated. And then my least favorite pick was probably Luke Musgrave, to be honest. I played the game of chicken too long at tight end. I ended up drafting 3 of them. But Luke Musgrave was definitely probably my least favorite pick. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you and Brian, same strategy. I'll never ever punt on tight end. I don't think I've ever gone 3 rounds without drafting one. So, but everyone's got a strategy. Brian, so the one thing I remember last year, you convinced me. Remember we were talking in the summer, we were talking about Tampa, and I was like, they're going to suck. And you're like, maybe they don't suck. And I remember you said more of that, but you really convinced me. That was the team, right? They were the Seattle 2 years ago. right? I remember I got Mike Evans for $8. He was second in touchdowns. So this year, who's the team? Who's the team everyone thinks sucks, but secretly doesn't suck?
Ooh.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
I mean, one team that's kind of been sticking out to me recently is the Commanders. I think their defense is terrible, which means they're going to have to score a lot. They have a fun quarterback. So, I mean, as a result, I like McLaurin just because I think he's like, once they got rid of Dotson, who else is there? And then I kind of like, especially in this deep of a league, as a joke, I took a shot on Luke McCaffrey because I have Christian McCaffrey, just like brothers, why not? But I don't think it's the worst pick because someone else has to catch the ball. They have Zach Ertz. He's 6 yards and down. Like Ben Sinnott, maybe we'll see. But like all they have right now is Terry McLaurin. I don't think De'Ami Brown's a wide receiver 2. I think he's a fine wide receiver 4 on the team, but they don't have anyone else, so he's kind of in that position now. So I think their offense is going to score a lot. Like they threw the ball a ton last year with that offense. Sam Howell was actually pretty productive a few weeks. Like
half the league in passing yards, 8 weeks. It's my favorite stat.
Half the season he was a fine start. So it's not a team I hate. And like again, somebody's got to do something there.
Somebody's got to do something. Yeah. So one of the things I've been thinking about is like when I'm trying to draft a team, right? Let's say, you kind of want a team with a bad defense because then they're going to put up points, right? But I like focusing on divisions, right? So it's like, so you got the NFC West, right? You got the Niners, probably good defense, Rams, bad defense, Arizona, bad defense, Seattle, maybe good defense, right? Would you rather take the team with the bad defense going against good defenses or take the team with the good defense, which means they don't have to play each other and they're playing, bad defenses? You know what I mean?
I mean, I want the better team. That's kind of like, like I'm always going to pick 49ers players over Cardinals, given they're all kind of equal footing. But like if I'm taking a shot at the end of the draft, I'm going to pick the teams with the bad defense because like not every game is going to be a blowout. This is the NFL. Like there's a bunch of parity. They're going to score. And especially like garbage time, like people hate. It's so hard to predict garbage time, but I think if you can find teams that will constantly be down, like even the Giants, like I know Anthony's a Giants fan. I know he's like, it doesn't look pretty. Yeah, like it doesn't look pretty, but I like, again, people other than, I mean, Neighbors looks good because he's going to get the target share. Somebody like Daniel Jones was a top 12 quarterback 2 years ago. I'm not saying he's going to be one this year, but like there's going to be points to be had on teams like that. And again, they're playing, look at their division. You have Eagles defense was very shoddy and they put up points. Cowboys put up points. Their defense is pretty good. Washington's defense god awful, which we just spoke about. Like that's 6 games. So 6 of the games they play probably have a good chance of getting garbage time.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Anthony, you're the Giants fan. Commiserate. Do you have neighbors in any leagues? Like, are you going to invest with your head and your heart?
I have neighbors in a dynasty league, and I'm probably out on redraft. I'll probably unless he falls like a round or two, which isn't going to happen with the hype. I'm probably not going to have any redraft shares of Malik Neighbors. But to Brian, to your point, real quick, that's why I like Wan'Dale Robinson. It's a good player, I think, on a bad team. It's going to be playing a lot of catch up. It's also why I like Michael Wilson. Cardinals defense is bad, though. I think the Cardinals are going to be pretty good. Bad defense, they're going to have to score a lot of points. And he's a wide receiver, too.
Yeah, I mean, kind of going back to your team you drafted, like, again, I like your shotgun approach at tight end. Obviously, you waited like I did, but you have 3 options that are maybes, and Theo Johnson seems to be reports are pretty good with him. I mean, you probably know better than I do, but again, like someone's got to catch the ball with Waller out this year, and you just have Neighbors that seems to be solidified.
Yeah. Theo Johnson has a path to potentially being the second leading target earner on that team. I'm not saying it's likely, but there is a path. And he was kind of my upside swing at tight end since I waited so long. Musgrave was a safe guy, and then I picked Hunter Henry, just see what happens. I'm thinking I'll probably be able to put him on IR week 1, pick up my kicker, and then just see what happens with the other 2 tight ends and go from there. But at least wanted to give myself as many options as possible.
Okay, let's get back to the draft a bit. So let's go. Well, you can't pick your own team. Favorite team, least favorite team. Brian, kick it off.
I think who was it? Oh, the pick 2 I really liked. It was Patrick's Dynasty Darlings.
Yeah.
They had a pretty. Maybe I just like the stud running backs, but I just think their build was nice. It was. You got Brees, Jalen Waddle, and then they did the stack of Jalen Waddle with Tua. They got Tua pretty late too, 8th round, which is, Tua's not the best, but that offense scores and he'll have his up weeks. Like, I think he was a top 5 quarterback the first half of last year, so maybe he starts fresh again.
Yeah, led the league in yards, right?
Yeah.
I think the rushing touchdowns are going to regress a bit, right? They probably won't lead the league in rushing touchdowns.
Exactly. And then David Montgomery, I think Jahmyr Gibbs is being a bit overdrafted because Montgomery's still going to get at least 40% of that backfield.
Yeah, probably inside the 10 too, yep.
Yeah, he's going to be the goal line back. And, even if you look back at when they had DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams, like Jamal Williams got paid because he had, I don't know, maybe 15 touchdowns. I forget the exact number, but that offense has a goal line back and it sticks to it. Gibbs is going to be the passing guy for sure, but I just think there's a bunch of value there. Calvin Ridley, I think we kind of joked in our chat, but I do think Will Levis is just going to air the ball out this year. I think Vrabel liked to play it safe, and if you were to tell me Will Levis had a Jameis Winston year where it's 30 and 30 picks, 30 touchdowns, yeah. I would love that just to see him go for it. And I think Calvin could benefit there. And then they also got my favorite late round tight end, which I always go for, is Taysom Hill, because I think he's the Saints RB2. And you play him at tight end. Maybe I feel like he's going to get 30 yards rushing, maybe a touchdown here or there, just because I think he's their goal line back, and you get to play him at tight end. So I can't complain there.
Sure. Okay. Least favorite team. Who are we picking on? Please don't send me.
I didn't like your build, to be honest.
Hit me. I can take it.
I ended up with Richardson in a draft as well. I'm doing one of the Ethos leagues I joined, and I'm doing a slow draft. And I loved the idea of him, but now the closer and closer I get, I'm kind of fading. I don't know exactly how I feel. Derrick Henry in a PPR isn't ideal. And then I like Cooper over Puka. So I know you're a big Puka guy.
I'm a Puka guy.
I'm planting my flag that I think Cooper Kupp is just going to be better than Puka. So I'd say those maybe 3 reasons that kind of stuck out to me, and that's top 4 picks. But I do like Trey McBride, and I think he's going to be a stud this year.
I couldn't believe he fell to 48. Yeah. I was coaching while drafting, but yeah. 16 teams tough. JS I'm stoked about. Brian Robinson, you made me feel better because the Commanders are good, but it's kind of the what I was telling Anthony about. Not good, bad O-line, running QB. It's going to be a lot of this Javonte Williams, right? 10 carries for 40 yards and no touchdowns.
Yeah.
All right, Anthony, you kick it. Favorite, least favorite.
I'm trying to look at this on my phone. I don't have access to it on my laptop for some reason. So I've been kind of scrolling through all the teams. I like Patrick's team a lot.
Yeah, me too. He's good at this. I remember last year he had a really good team.
Yeah, going Brees and Montgomery, I think, is an excellent running back core. And then he has Waddle, DJ Moore, Ridley, Sutton, just to kind of toy around with. I like that he picked Mooney late. I like Tua as a fantasy quarterback. He's going to have some dud weeks, but he's also going to give you some weeks where he puts up 50 points. I think he struck that right balance that you need. My least favorite team, I don't know. Everyone's team looked pretty decent. I don't know that I can say that I have a least favorite team at the moment.
All right, politically correct. That's cool. Okay, another thing I want to talk about: playoff schedule. How much do you guys factor that in?
I don't pay
Brian?
attention to it. Sorry, Brian. I don't pay attention to it during the
No?
draft, honestly.
No, I don't really either. I just my team's going to change so much. I like trading too, so I pay more attention to like I want to win my first 3 weeks. If I can start out 3-0, I can take advantage of an 0-3 team with an offer, a trade offer. Not in a
Sure.
rude way, but if I can do a 2-for-1 where I get the better player because I'm 3-0 and I can afford to give up some depth, I'm going to do that. Or I can take on maybe the team who drafted, if this wasn't the case, but if the team who drafted Nick Chubb and TJ Hawkinson, maybe in a different league, if I'm winning, I can go trade for that guy because
Sure.
he's going to need help now
they-
and I can use it later.
And they carried the water for the 3 weeks on the IR. Okay. Because so, like, Dolphins, right? I'm a big playoff schedule guy. For me, I love it, especially as, like, decider, right? Let's say I've got the second overall pick, and I'm deciding between Brees and Bijan. I'm gonna look at the last 3 games. Well, minus week 18, right? So for me, that's huge because making playoffs I find not that hard. Winning it almost impossible because again, yeah, your team's gonna change, but just for your studs, like Dolphins, right? We're talking about Pat's team, right? They got playoffs, so they're at Houston playing the Niners, at Cleveland, right? That's 3 kind of elite defenses. Tua's obviously we know not very good against good defenses, good teams. All right, would that scare you away at all from, let's say, taking Tyreek Hill or Waddle?
No.
Okay, straight up. I like it. Okay.
Just to be short, no. Hey, you never know. You might get a beautiful day in Cleveland in the middle of December, 45 degrees, not too cold. You just don't know. There's so many other factors that go into it that you just really it's impossible to predict. And who knows? Maybe the Cleveland's got a couple injuries on the defense, and all of a sudden they're running ragged. In week 17, they're out of the playoff stage. Just they're just showing up to get their last paycheck, and that's about it. So no, it's tough for me to look at anything that's going to happen in December and take it seriously when I'm drafting my team.
Okay, that's fair. What about strength of schedule overall, Brian? Like,
I mean, yeah, I think
Atlanta's got the easiest. I know Houston's is really good, but
that kind of goes into I just want to get off to a hot start.
awesome. Okay.
So that's if I can get off to a hot start, by all means. I tend to just not think about schedule. The only thing I think about schedule with is defenses. Like maybe that'll come back to bite me, but again, I just think I make enough moves. I'm normally top on the adds and drops for most leagues I'm in, so my team's going to be way different than it is now. I mean, ideally, I drafted, 15 studs, but it's just not the case. Like, I'm gonna have a bunch of movement, so I'll deal with it later.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. All right, let me just promo this SportEthos draft guide, right? We got probably 100 articles. We got dynasty content. We got redraft strategies, projections, the ADP tracker. Anyone listening, it is definitely worth it. We got a week into the season, right? Do a little research now, and don't be kicking yourself in the next 17 weeks. What else was I going to go to? We had schedule, weather. I had just a point. What was it? Trading Niners. I lost my point. Okay.
I guess I got a quick question for you guys. How did you find yourself kind of tilting with it being 16? Like, I found myself tilting with tight end because it's 16 team leagues, and just once there's a run and you can't do anything, especially we were at the ends. Anthony, you were more in the middle, but like it's stressful to watch, which then kind of resulted in me. If I wanted a guy, I tried to just go get him, even if I knew it was a reach. Did you guys feel similarly at all?
I think being
Anthony,
in the middle, yeah, I think being in the middle, I felt less inclined to reach. And I actually to answer your question, other than tight end, the only time I really found myself tilting was in I think the 6th round. It was after I picked Dak. I knew I needed an RB2, and they were thinning out pretty quickly. So I was happy that Tony Pollard fell to me. I think he's a fine RB2, but that was the moment where I had a little bit of panic about what my team might look like, but ended up working out pretty well.
kind of piggybacking off that, you said you wanted the 3 wide receivers to start. Did that make you like that tends to get me tilting? I mean, your team ended up just fine, but like that tends to get me tilted because then I know I need a running back. And say the guy doesn't drop that I like. I mean, maybe it just worked out, but I find myself tilting when I'm in that situation.
Yeah, it definitely could. I felt pretty good throughout this whole draft. I got some guys that I liked. I like Ramondre this season. I like David Montgomery and James Conner, who went right after I picked Ramondre. So I really wasn't too worried at that point. But then I knew I needed to take Dak at 70. Because again, that was just once I picked CD, I knew I was going with Dak. And then that's why a little bit coming into the 6th round around like pick 90, 91 is what I had. I was hoping that it was either Pollard or Chase Brown, and I ended up getting Pollard.
Yeah, no, I found being at the turn, it's just like it's 16-team league, right? It's like you're not picking again for an eternity. That's why, I mean, my biggest regret was probably taking Richardson. I had him last year and he burned me, so I feel like it's like, I don't know, delayed stock or something, right? If he plays well here, it'll make up for last year. But he's like a chain, right? He's magic beans. If Richardson plays 17 games, he's probably the QB1. He plays 10 games, maybe he's top 10. But I'm not worried about. I'm just worried about him staying healthy, and I'm not super optimistic. But yeah, I remember I was just there, and it's like round 4 of the QBs were gone, and it was like if I wait 2 rounds, I don't want to be stuck with Joe Burrow and having that red flag every week. And yeah, 16-team league. I felt a little pressure, especially at the turn at the end, to just shore up my onesie positions and then chase everything else down the road.
And I usually like drafting at the turn, but I think that in such a deep league, it's actually a hassle because, John, like you said, it's an eternity. You guys were going 30 picks between getting 2 guys. Like that's forever.
Yeah.
Well, it's nicer when you start at the first turn and you get McCaffrey, and then Yahoo gives you an A+ report card, right?
Yeah, you get your pick of the litter at the very least.
Yeah, and I know no one else feels this way or no one else brings this up, but I also hate if I'm at the back end of the turn and it's an odd number of players that you draft. Like we drafted 15. So you start the first round, you start last pick, and last round you end last pick.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah, so like normally I like to have at least even number rounds for that exact reason, but I wasn't complaining because I was obviously number 1 pick. But
yeah, no, that's an interesting. I didn't even think about that. That's a good point though. I think most of the leagues I draft in, it's either an even number or they're keeper type league, so it's like a linear draft. So that's just never really an issue. But it's an excellent little point there.
Okay, we'll go to an hour. We'll go for 10 more minutes. So let's go. What leagues you guys got coming up? And do you learn anything from this draft? And any sleepers you like?
I'm in the middle of I do a lottery league every year. It's a big money league. There's 10 teams. We do super flex, 2 flex, deep bench, and everything. We're in the middle of that draft at the moment. I look forward to that one every year. And then I've got a couple home league drafts coming up this weekend that are just always fun. So still not done drafting. Taking it to the bitter end right before the season starts.
Nope. Yeah, I think most people do that. Yeah, no, I think drafting's just starting. This is the crazy window. If you go into Yahoo and try to do a mock right now, you can't even get in. All right, Brian, what do you got?
yeah, I'm in the middle. I'm like 12th round of a slow draft for one of the Ethos leagues. That's the one I ended up with Richardson, and now I'm like debating how I feel about Richardson now that he's actually on my team. I have a auction, I think next Tuesday, and then I have my like family league on tomorrow. One thing I have noticed is like some of my family and home leagues, I end up with like a lot more of the hyped players because I feel like they end up going later. But like in leagues like this one, where it's like you have a bunch of people who are very aware of what's going on, I almost end up, I feel like, with safer teams because I kind of push off the hype players to other teams, and the hype players obviously get drafted earlier. So I enjoy kind of the balance of like, you can call us professionals, but like in like an expert league versus a family league, my teams are so different, and it's nice to just kind of root for different people.
Okay, yeah, fantasy gluttony. Okay, well, I got a 4-figure stakes league starting on the 31st, which is crazy. But Snake, where would you guys? I think you get to like choose where you want to go, or it's preference. It's some weird format. But where are you guys picking? So let's like 1 to 12. Just one.
So that's actually what my big money superflex league does. We run like a duck race online, and it's not the draft order; it's the order of you getting to pick what spot to draft in.
Yeah.
It's a 10-team league. Like I said, we do superflex, and we keep it pretty deep. I ended up with the 7th, like picking 7th of where I wanted to pick, and I ended up going with 9th. I want to be as close to a turn as possible. I think, just to like answer your question, I want to be as close to a turn as possible in leagues that are 12 teams and smaller.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, a little more flexibility, right? Pick your guy. Yeah, I like.
I
Yeah,
find that oftentimes I'm between two guys. So like if I'm at the turn, I feel like, if you're on the turn, you can get both, or if you're like one or two spots, it's like, you feel like you got a really good chance at getting both. So it's almost less decision making, I think, to an extent.
Yeah, I tend to I almost always start with running back. Or I try to. I just find I like my team better, even if it's just a hero build, like hero RB build. So I like a top 3 pick, and if you want to be at the turn, by all means. But like, if I can get away with Bijan, Brees, or McCaffrey, I want it. Like, I just think those are kind of difference makers. But I also think kind of being in the middle, like in my opinion, I mean, Anthony might disagree with Amon-Ra, but like I think there's 5 studs, and I think it's those 3 running backs and then Tyreek and CeeDee. If you end up at 5, like 5's not the worst spot. I mean, Amon-Ra I think is safest. He has boom weeks, but he's not, in my opinion, he's not as boomish as Tyreek and CeeDee. But
yeah, he's not doing 182 touchdowns, right?
Yeah, I think like 3 and 5 are pretty good spots to be in, just because I guarantee I'm going to get either the running back or I'm going to get one of those wide receivers.
Yeah, and then what's the next tier, right? Like, well, Jefferson, Chase, AJ, and then you put Wilson there. I know Anthony loves his Garrett.
Yeah, I'm putting Garrett Wilson there. I have Garrett Wilson in the top 5 at the moment, I believe.
What about Jonathan Taylor? Is he in there?
I like Saquon. I think they're going to use him. I think Howie's smart, and like Howie Roseman. I'm an Eagles fan, so yes, I'm a bit biased, but like, I don't think Howie Roseman's going to spend that much money on a running back and not use him. Like, I think he's going to get touches. He's going to get dump offs. I think and like, again, I bring this up a lot of the time, but like, Christian McCaffrey was on a terrible team and just got fed the ball, was not the most efficient, got traded to the 49ers. No one knew what to think of it. And then he's a stud again.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a similar situation. I'm not saying he's going to be RB1 for the next 3 years, but I'm not saying he won't. Like, he has an opportunity in that offense.
Worst O-line to best O-line, right? Who knows what that's worth?
That's true. John, to answer your question, I am largely out on Jonathan Taylor at cost. And then, Brian, to your point, I very much so like Saquon Barkley. Devastated he went to the Eagles. Could have went anywhere else, but happy we're not paying him $15 million. But I agree. I think that Saquon is in for an excellent season. I actually think it's going to hurt Jalen Hurts a little bit, and not in like Jalen Hurts is a bad quarterback kind of way, but I think that they're going to run a little less of like the tush push around like the goal line. Because look, like you're not paying it back $15 million to not give him the ball on the one, and you can protect your quarterback a little bit more. So yeah, I think I would pick Saquon over Jonathan Taylor, just since we were talking about those two guys.
So we're saying we got that first tier 1 to 5. then second tier maybe 6 to 10, 11, and then it's kind of a crapshoot. So like Kyron Williams, he's like the cutoff in the second elite tier.
I wouldn't have Kyron there, but everyone's different. So if you're inclined to put him there, then I mean, yeah, that I think that's probably close to about where it ends.
Yeah, I end up not liking the 1-2 turn because I think there's like 11, and I think the 11, it's like the 5 people I spoke about. Then you get Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, AJ Brown, gets us to 8, and then Garrett Wilson, Saquon, and then I think after that that's 10, and then it's Jonathan Taylor, like Marvin Harrison, Kyron Williams, Gibbs. So maybe 10 is the one that I'd probably go with again, because I think those 10 ending it with Garrett Wilson, Saquon, I just think I'm happy with that as a first round pick. I'm not as happy with Jonathan Taylor, Marvin Harrison, Jahmyr Gibbs, Kyron Williams.
And then 10 on that. And then when it comes back at, I guess, 14, 15? Well, I can't do the math right now. You're still getting a stud, right? You might be up. Cooper might fall, know, right?
I mean, that's prime position for you to get Puka if you are higher. Like,
Puka.
I think on that turn, you can get still kind of a top 10 stud. And then whoever's left of those, whoever's left of kind of like the questionable ones of like Taylor, Gibbs, Kyron, Marvin, I think you just end up with that.
Okay. So I want to end on this. I actually wanted to bring this up earlier. This is the thing. Super stacks. I know, Brian, you love to do it when you just get almost everyone on one team. I think there's some value in it. So I'm thinking about doing a Rams super stack, right? Maybe I go Puka Cup on the turn, and then I take Stafford late. Andy, like, any value in that? Or even like if Philly, you could go Hurt, Saquon. You're probably not getting AJ, but maybe you take Goddard or Devontae falls.
Yeah, I think it depends on the team. You're going to do it. I think if you can do it in San Francisco, you do it. I think if you can do it with the Dolphins, you do it. I think that if you can do it, honestly, with the Cardinals, if you can get Marvin Harrison, Kyler, and Trey McBride, I think you do it. And then, shoot, you could even go for James Conner. I think they're going to score a lot of points this year. I think it just depends on the team. I don't know that I'd be so inclined to do it on the Rams, but I think I'm just a bit lower on the Rams than most people probably are. Value-wise, it's certainly a team that you can do it with.
What about a Colts super stack, right? You end up taking Taylor, and then I guess maybe then you take Pittman Richardson.
No. See, I'm probably just not taking Jonathan Taylor, but I don't think I would super stack the Colts. No, I don't think I would.
Okay, Brian, super stacks. You're the expert.
Yeah, I mean, I did this last year with the Eagles.
Yeah.
I was doing just fine until they kind of took a nosedive. The reason I thought of it was because I have a Bills fan friend who, in our auction league, again, it's auction, so it's easier to kind of get who you want.
Yeah.
He made the playoffs, I think, 3 years straight, just going Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, whoever the running back is, didn't even have to be good. He'd go then, he'd get Gabe Davis for his one-off weeks. He went their defense, he went their kicker, like he went everywhere. And he was
always good.
If you're a top 5 team, I would say it'll work because your team's going to win more often. And especially like with Josh Allen, he's going to score, but then if they're winning more often, the running backs will get garbage stuff. And it's just a high risk, high reward.
Sure.
The other thing is you're only out 1 bye week.
Yeah.
Which people tend to like. I remember when I first started playing fantasies, like, oh, I can't have someone who has the same bye week. Now I'd almost rather just everybody out on 1 week. I'm probably going to lose that week anyways if my like top 2 picks are out. So I might as well just like make it so that the rest of the weeks I'm full strength.
So give me some super stacks you like, and then maybe a sneaky super stack.
I don't hate the Eagles one, and I think it's doable draft spot wise. If you can get AJ Brown to then Saquon, if you can get them 2 at a turn.
Okay, yeah.
And then maybe Hurts last you at the 4 or 5. Like if you can then do Hurts Smith at the end, that's your top 4 picks. It's risky as anything. Kellen Moore is, I think, a better OC. I've done it. I'm not going to do it this year, but just because I kind of got burned by it. I think Dolphins is a good one again. Like you spend up on Tyreek and Jalen, and then I would get both running backs because I think they're both going to do stuff with Mostert and A-Chain, and then Tua is kind of cheaper later on too.
Okay.
The issue is if someone finds you doing it, like in the middle of it.
Especially in an auction. Yeah.
Yeah, like people know I'm an Eagles fan, so they,
Yeah.
especially in an auction, would just start bidding me up on people. So it didn't work as well. But if you can kind of be quiet about it, with like Rams, you can be a bit more quiet about. And it's not. I think Stafford is underrated because Kyron's good running back. He has a wide receiving core. It's just I tend to like the rushing QBs. So if I were to kind of punt on, I would do the Rams stack if I had a stud tight end that wasn't a Rams player.
Okay. And then what about last thing. So one of the big things is you guys got a couple minutes? We're good?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like Anthony has a few too that he liked.
Yeah,
Oh.
I just wanted to throw out two, just real quick, just two super stackable teams. What about the Detroit Lions, baby? If you can get Amon-Ra, you're probably not going to get Amon-Ra and Gibbs. But if you can get Amon-Ra, Laporta, or Gibbs or David Montgomery, and then toss Jared Goff on the back and let it fly. And then the sneaky one I have is the Tennessee Titans.
Ooh.
You go ahead and grab one of the receivers and Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, followed up with either Tajay or Tony Pollard, and one of my favorite late round quarterbacks, Will Levis.
I like that in in a super flex.
Yeah.
Like
you're not going to do it in a league where you only drafted 15 quarterbacks at most. But yeah, in a deeper league, I think take a look at the Titans if you want to get a good late value stack in.
Okay, Titans late value stack. There we go. That's for anyone going to the wire. That's out there. I like that. Hey, nobody knows anything yet, right? I was just saying, what about doing like the Texans? Because nobody knows, right? We got Nico, we got Diggs, we got Dell. It could go in any order, right? What about just getting all three? You got all three Texans wide receivers. You're obviously going to get Stroud, right? Is there value in that? Because they're going to throw.
I think you'd probably max out at 2.
Yeah, but the third one's going to screw you.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly been situations where having an entire offense has worked. Like the one year with the Peyton Manning Broncos, where like he set the passing. So was it 2013 or something like that?
Yeah.
Where you could have Peyton Manning, Eric Decker, Demaryius Thomas, Julius Thomas, and whoever the running back was off the top of my head is escaping me. But like, if you had all of them, you were probably set. But no, I think going beyond 3 on a team is just a little bit of overkill.
Yeah, and I again think it's going to be like I'm going to try to stick, unless it's like a 2 QB league or a super deep league, I'm going to try to just stick to like who I think is going to be a top 5 offense and just go there. Because I don't if it's a team that's going to be up and down, like it's already going to be up and down if your whole team is one player, and then you limit the option for like DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, I like the Texans as a late, but like DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley probably aren't going to boom on the same week. So if they're like your 2 flexes, if you got a 2 normal flex plus a super flex, that's fine, because then you probably know one of them will at least be productive. But I'm going to try to stick to a top 5 offense.
Okay, cool. All right, I think that's enough. We covered a lot of ground. Anthony, thanks for jumping in late. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Always happy to be on.
Yeah, this is great. I think we covered this draft in full, but we got a week to the season. We'll probably maybe do something on the weekend. I don't know, breaking from first week, right? We got a lot of stuff because first week nobody knows anything yet, and then everyone overreacts to week 1, and then now it's week 2, and now you got to throw it week 1. So it is chaos. But Brian, thanks for coming. Any last words? Anybody? Anything?
Sometimes it feels like we know less after week 1 than we did before week 1.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys.
See you.